Data Importer Troubleshooting and Tips. In the first video, you learned the basics of importing data using Data Importer. In this video, you will learn how to troubleshoot errors that may appear during the Data Importer process. You will also learn the importance of mapping rules, primary and secondary lookups, and other tips to help you better use the Data Importer feature. This infographic provides an overview of the Data Importer feature. You may want to pause the video to take a closer look at the graphic. You can view a flowchart of the Data Importer process at the URL indicated. This video assumes that you have basic knowledge about CA Asset Portfolio Management. This video covers the following scenarios: data imported with incorrect mappings, understanding the primary and secondary lookup objects, understanding the mapping rules, clarifications about the mapping rules added by Data Importer, checking the correct log files, the Data Importer is stopped, resetting the job status, the import hangs when submitting a large number of assets, understanding the exclusion filters. Scenario 1. Data imported with incorrect mappings. When importing assets, the mandatory fields are asset name, model, and class. In this example, the model name is, incorrectly, not defined in the mappings list. The job status shows an error. Click View Logs to see the error report. The log file shows the reason for the error. In this correct example, the model name is defined in the mappings list. The job status now shows as completed. Scenario 2. Understanding the primary and secondary lookup objects. If the primary lookup object is not mapped in the importer mapping, the Data Importer will show an error. The Data Importer will automatically select the secondary lookup checkbox for all the secondary objects that are mapped. For more information on primary and secondary lookup objects, go to the URL indicated. Scenario 3. Understanding the mapping rules. The Data Importer will automatically select the secondary lookup object checkbox for all the secondary objects that are mapped. It is important that you define all the mandatory fields of the primary and secondary objects. In the example above, you see that the asset object is the primary object, and accordingly, all of the mandatory fields of asset name, model, class, asset family, are defined. Similarly, for company, the mandatory secondary object field is company name. Do not change the mappings added by the system. For more information on mapping, go to the URL indicated. Scenario 4. Clarifications about the mapping rules added by Data Importer. In this screen, you see that the user has defined the mappings before clicking Save. Ensure that you click Save after completing the advanced settings. The saving system automatically adds the subtype ID field if required. In the following mapping, the relationship between asset, asset family, and asset class is defined. The system automatically defines the asset family class. Scenario 5. Checking the correct log files. After submitting the job, to verify that the job is processing, you click Associated Jobs. Click View Logs for the correct job ID for which you want to view the log details. For more information on log files, go to the URL indicated. Scenario 6. The data importer engine is stopped. If the data importer engine is stopped while creating an import, a warning will be displayed. The behavior to display this warning will be present in Asset Portfolio Management Release 14.1.01 and later releases. Scenario 7. Resetting the job status. If a job hangs and there are subsequent jobs waiting to complete, how do you restart the hung job to continue the operation? While processing jobs, the data importer engine may hang due to a deadlock in the database, which means that the data importer is trying to access a row that is locked by another process of the application. To resolve this, restart the data importer engine service on the application server. This will reset the hang and will try to process the jobs in the sequence for the dependent objects. Scenario 8. The import hangs when submitting a large number of assets. While processing a large number of assets, say 20,000 or more, the data importer engine may hang due to a database deadlock as described previously. As stated before, to resolve this, restart the data importer engine service on the application server. This will reset the hang and continue to process the jobs. Scenario 9. Understanding the exclusion filters. You can identify a subset of records in your source data file that you want to exclude from the import. The data importer exclusion filter allows you to filter a part of your data source using exclusion filter rules. In this example, you see that an exclusion filter for asset alias equals laptop and a serial number greater than the number being displayed is being defined. In this screen, you see that the job has been submitted and was processed. Click the status message link of the import job record to open the CSV data file. In the CSV data file, you see that 2 records were filtered based on the exclusion filter, and the remaining 3 records were processed. In this example, you see that the source data file has an empty field or null value. 2 exclusion filters are created for the same source field. You see that exclusion filters for asset alias equals laptop and asset alias equals null are defined. After you submit the form, the status message indicates that 3 records were processed successfully. On the asset page, you see that 3 assets were inserted and the asset alias equals laptop and asset alias equals null records were excluded. For more information on the exclusion filters, go to the URL indicated. In this video, you learned about a few important troubleshooting scenarios and some additional tips for better using Data Importer.